My name is Scarlett Hale. I am 30 years old, and I live in Portland, Oregon. They say silence means acceptance, but sometimes silence is a strategy. Sometimes it's the quiet sound of a switch flipping. And I learned my strategy in a sterile, overpriced lawyer's office on a Tuesday morning. The room was too cold. The lawyer, Mr. Harrison, kept wiping his palms on his expensive wool pants. He wouldn't look me in the eye. He just stared at a spot on the polished oak table, right past my shoulder. His voice barely rose above the hum of the ceiling fan. "Your parents' estate has been divided," he said. He cleared his throat. "Everything. The house, the savings, the investments. It all goes to your brother, Liam." I didn't move. I didn't blink. I didn't cry. I just watched my own reflection in the table. The woman looking back at me was perfectly, unnervingly calm. That calmness terrified the lawyer more than my anger ever could. He started fumbling with his papers. He was sweating now. "Your parents felt this was a fair distribution," he said, "to ensure family harmony." The words were just noise. Empty sounds soaked in poison. Family harmony. They meant Liam's comfort. Outside, through the tinted glass window, I could see him. My brother. Liam was leaning against his new car. A car I knew my parents had paid for. He had that smug grin he's worn since childhood. The grin that always meant I won and you lost. He was already celebrating. I stood up. The lawyer flinched. Liam met me at the elevator, his grin even wider. "No hard feelings, Scarlett?" he asked. I looked right at him. I smiled. Of course not. That was the moment everything changed. That was the start of my silence. And the beginning of my plan. But before I tell you how everything flipped, like and subscribe, drop a comment, where are you watching from? Mom's motto was, family first. She said it at birthdays. She said it at Thanksgiving. She said it every time she wanted me to do something I didn't want to do. But what she really meant was Liam first. My brother Liam was the golden one. He was the sun, and I was the shadow. He could do no wrong. And when he did wrong, which was often, it was forgiven before he even apologized. He had a good heart. He was just finding his way. He was sensitive. I was the ghost daughter. I was the fixer, the responsible one, the one who was just there. I remember when I was 10. Liam was 12. He was throwing a baseball in the house. I told him, "Mom will be angry." He laughed and threw it again. The ball hit the big glass lamp on the side table. It shattered. Glass went everywhere. Liam's eyes went wide. He ran out the back door. 2 minutes later, Mom came in. She saw the mess. She saw me standing there, holding the baseball he had dropped. "Scarlett Ann Hale," she said. Her voice was ice. "What did you do?" "I didn't," I said. "It was Liam." "Don't you dare lie to me," she said. "He's outside. You are standing right here. Clean this up, and you are grounded for a month." I didn't argue. I just got the dustpan. I swept up the glass. My hands were shaking. I wasn't shaking because I was scared of being grounded. I was shaking because she hadn't even hesitated. She didn't even ask him. I looked out the window. Liam was in the yard, playing. He saw me watching. He gave me that grin, that smug, "I won again" grin. Dad came home later. He saw the empty table. "Where's the lamp?" "Scarlett broke it," Mom said. He just grunted. He picked up his newspaper. He didn't look at me. He never looked at me. That was the pattern. Liam broke it. I fixed it. Mom blamed me. Dad said nothing. When Liam turned 17, he took Dad's car without asking. He crashed it into a mailbox. The front end was completely crumpled. He wasn't hurt, but the car was. Dad was angry, but not at Liam. He was angry at the mailbox. "These things jump out of nowhere," he grumbled. Mom was worried. "Oh, Liam, honey, are you okay? You must have been so scared." They paid for the damages. They bought him a new car. A sporty one. 2 weeks later, I needed a ride. My part-time job was 5 miles away. The bus was unreliable. "Can I borrow your car, Mom?" I asked. "Oh, I can't," she said. "I have my book club." "What about Dad's?" "He's at the office." "What about Liam's?" Mom scoffed. "Don't be silly, Scarlett. Liam needs his car. He has things to do." I looked out the window. Liam was sleeping on the couch. His things to do were usually sleeping or playing video games. "Just take the bus, honey," Mom said, not looking up from her magazine. "It's not that hard. A little responsibility is good for you." I took the bus. I was late. I almost lost my job. I worked that job 40 hours a week all summer. I saved every penny. I saved that money for my college applications. When I got my acceptance letter to the University of Oregon, I showed them. Dad nodded. "Good school." Mom smiled. "That's nice, dear. Now can you help me with dinner? Liam is bringing a friend over." There was no congratulations. "No, we're so proud. I got scholarships. I worked 2 jobs in college. I shared a tiny dorm room with 3 other girls. I lived on instant noodles and coffee. I graduated with honors. I got a job at a small financial firm. I worked hard. I got promoted. I built my own life. Degree, job, a clean, quiet apartment in Portland. Savings, Liam. Liam burned through their money. He decided he was an entrepreneur. His first business was a t-shirt company. It failed. It left my parents with $10,000 in debt. His second business was a food truck. He bought a truck. He never got the permits. The truck sat in their driveway for a year. It left them with $30,000 in debt. His third business was some kind of cryptocurrency scam. He didn't just lose their money, he lost his friends' money. My parents had to refinance their house, the house I grew up in. They had to pay back his investors so he wouldn't go to jail. And still, they called me cold. I came to visit for Thanksgiving last year. I sat in the kitchen while Mom cooked. "It's nice you could make it," she said. It sounded like an accusation. "You're so busy. You never come home." "I was here last month, Mom," I said. "Liam sees us every week," she said. "Liam lives in your basement and doesn't pay rent," I said. I kept my voice quiet. Her head snapped around. "Don't you talk about your brother that way. He is trying. It's hard out there. You wouldn't understand. Everything has always been so easy for you, Scarlett. Easy." I thought about the 2 jobs. I thought about the scholarships I had to fight for. I thought about the 80-hour weeks I worked to get my last promotion. "You're right," I said. "I don't understand." "He just needs a little help," she said. "He has a good heart. We just need to help him get on his feet." He was 32 years old. "You're so cold," she said, turning back to the stove. "You're so responsible and cold. You keep your distance. You have your own life. You don't care about this family." She was right about one thing. I did have my own life. I had built it like a fortress, brick by brick. A place where I was safe. A place where my success wasn't a problem. A place where I wasn't a ghost. I didn't know then. I didn't know that my responsibility wasn't just something they disliked. I didn't know it had become a crime. I should have seen it coming. The signs were all there. They were small, but they were clear. It was in the way Mom talked. "We're making some changes, Scarlett," she told me on the phone. "Just financial planning." "That's good, Mom," I said. "You should have a solid plan." "Yes," she said. Her voice was high, a little too bright. "We're just helping your brother get on his feet again, making sure he's secure." "What about you, Mom? Are you secure?" "Oh, of course," she said, laughing. It sounded like breaking glass. "Don't you worry about us. We're a family. We take care of each other." And then there was Dad. I had dinner with him. Just him. Mom was at a meeting. "Dad," I said, "are you okay? You seem tired." He just sighed. He pushed his food around his plate. "Your mother. She worries about Liam. She worries so much." "She's not worried, Dad. She's enabling him. He's an adult. He will never stand up if you keep holding him." He looked at me. His eyes were sad. So tired. She has a good heart, Scarlett. She just wants to protect him." "Protect him from what?" I asked. "Reality? Responsibility?" He just looked away. He drank his coffee. He didn't answer. His silence was his answer. His silence was his agreement. He wouldn't fight her. He would let her do whatever she wanted, even if he knew it was wrong. Then, 3 weeks ago, I got the call. It wasn't from them. It was from a lawyer. "Mr. Harrison." "Ms. Hale," he said. His voice was all business. "Your parents, Frank and Sarah Hale, have requested your presence at a meeting. They are finalizing their estate planning. They require you to be here. It sounded cold. Formal. Finalizing their estate planning, I said. Are they okay? They are in fine health, he said. The meeting is Friday, 10 a.m. I felt a knot in my stomach. It felt wrong. I drove to the lawyer's office. It was in a tall glass building downtown. Not their usual small-town lawyer. I walked into the conference room. Mom was there, Dad was there, and Liam was there. Liam was sitting next to Mom. He was wearing a new suit. He had that grin, the grin from the backyard, the I won again grin. Mom wouldn't look at me. She was looking at her hands. Dad just stared at the table. Scarlett, Mr. Harrison said, thank you for coming. We are here to finalize the new Hale Family Trust. Your parents have decided to restructure their assets. He pushed a thick document across the table. This trust, he continued, will manage all their assets, the house, their savings, their investments. Your parents will be the primary beneficiaries for their lifetime. Okay, I said. That sounds smart. Yes, he said. He cleared his throat. And upon their passing or at their discretion, the sole remaining beneficiary and executor of the trust will be Liam Hale. The room was silent. The only sound was the hum of the ceiling fan. I looked at Mom. Mom? She finally looked up. Her eyes were hard. Scarlett, it's for the best. Liam? He needs this. He needs the security. You're fine. You've always been fine. Fine? I said. You're responsible, she said, as if it were a bad word. You have your job. Your apartment. You don't need this. Need what? I said. My voice was quiet. My family? The house is in the trust, the lawyer said. He was looking at his papers. Your name, which was previously on the deed, has been removed. Frank and Sarah signed the new deed transfer this morning. That's when I felt it. Not anger. Not sadness. Ice. My blood turned to ice. This wasn't a sudden decision. This wasn't an emotional choice. This was precision. They had hired a new, expensive lawyer. They had created a complex legal trust. They had gone to the county recorder's office. They had systematically, deliberately, and legally erased me. Every cent. Every asset. Even the house I grew up in. My name was gone. I looked at my father. Dad? He wouldn't look at me. He just stared at the polished wood. I looked at Liam. He was trying not to smile. He was failing. I stood up. I pushed my chair in. Thank you, Mr. Harrison, I said. My voice was perfectly calm. I understand. Mom looked shocked. I think she wanted a fight. She wanted tears. She wanted me to scream, so she could call me dramatic and unstable. I gave her nothing. I nodded at my parents. Thank you for letting me know. I walked out of the conference room. I didn't look back. Liam followed me out. He caught up to me at the elevator. Hey, Scarlett, he said. He was trying to sound casual. Listen, no hard feelings, right? I turned to face him. I smiled. A small, tight smile. Of course not, Liam. His grin faded. He looked confused. My calmness was scaring him. It's just, he fumbled. Mom and Dad, they just want to know I'm taken care of. I know, I said. And now you are. The elevator doors opened. I got in. I went home to my apartment. I sat on my couch. The sun was streaming through the window. The city was busy outside. I sat there for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just thought about the precision. I thought about the new suit Liam was wearing. I thought about my mother's hard eyes and my father's silence. It was a perfect betrayal. Clean, efficient, final. I thought they had won. I thought it was over. But then I remembered something. I remembered a password. And I understood. Sometimes the loudest revenge begins in absolute silence. Years ago, Dad had trusted me. It was a Saturday afternoon. He was at his computer, angry. Scarlett! He yelled. I can't make this new website work. The bank. It's all digital. It keeps locking me out. I went into his office. He was squinting at the screen. He hated computers. He trusted paper. Okay, Dad, I said. I pulled up a chair. Let's set it up. What's the problem? It needs a new password. A secure one. It wants numbers and stars. I don't know. I sat with him for an hour. I set up their online banking. I linked their checking account, their savings, their investment portfolio. What do you want the password to be? I asked. He sighed. He rubbed his face. You do it, Scarlett. You pick one. You remember it. You're the smart one. You're the one who understands all this. I created a password. It was complex, secure. I wrote it down for him. You keep a copy, he said, pushing the paper back to me. In case I lose this. You're the backup. You'll know what to do. He trusted me. He called me the smart one. That memory hurt. It hurt more than the lawyer's words. He had trusted me. And then he had signed a paper that erased me. He had chosen my mother's fear over his trust in me. I sat at my desk in my apartment. It was dark now. The city lights were bright. I opened my laptop. I went to the bank's website. My hands were shaking. Is this right? I thought. It's their money. They can do what they want. Then I thought of Liam's grin. I thought of Mom's cold voice. You're fine. I thought of the deed. My name gone. They had declared war. They just didn't know I had a weapon. My father trusted me to set up the system. He never changed the credentials. My fingers hesitated over the keys. Then I typed, username, password access granted. I was in. I was looking at everything. Their main checking account. Their savings. The portfolio. The new Hale Family Trust was there. But it was just a shell. The money hadn't moved yet. The assets were titled to the trust, but the cash flow, the payments, were still coming from the original accounts. I clicked on the Scheduled Transfers tab, and my blood went cold. It was worse than I thought. It wasn't just a plan for the future. It was happening now. Automatic transfer. $3,500. Payee. Liam Hale. Mortgage. Automatic. Transfer $650. Payee. Apex Luxury. Automatic transfer. $5,000. Payee. Liam Hale. Monthly. Allowance. Automatic transfer. 1-200. Payee. Visa Infinite. Liam Hale. They weren't just helping him get on his feet. They were managing his entire life. They were automating his failure. The trust was designed to make sure he would never have to work. He would be a child forever, paid for by their money. I looked at the checking account balance. It was high. But with these payments, it was bleeding, draining. I am a financial analyst. I am precise. I am methodical. I didn't steal. I didn't move a single penny to myself. I simply stopped the bleeding. I clicked on the $3,500 mortgage payment. The screen said, edit or cancel this transfer. My mouse hovered over cancel. I thought of Mom. We just need to help him. I clicked. A box popped up. Are you sure you want to cancel this scheduled payment? I clicked confirm, payment canceled. I went to the next one. The $650 car. Payment. Click, cancel. Confirm. The $5,000. Allowance. Click, cancel. Confirm. The $1,200 credit card. Payment. Click, cancel. Confirm. I went through the list. Every single transfer. Every disbursement. Every payment that was feeding Liam's fantasy life, I canceled them all. Then I went to the account settings. I saw account alerts. I turned them off. They wouldn't get the email notification that the payments had been stopped. Not right away. I saw the system log. The bank tracks all actions. I had to leave a note. A reason. I am a professional. I typed, per user request, all automatic disbursements are to be paused. Suspending all non-essential transfers pending a full administrative review of the account and associated trust documents. It was corporate. It was vague. It was perfect. It would trigger a review. It would freeze the account. I looked at the memo line on the main account. A little box where you can leave a note for yourself. Dad used to make me put taxes or vacation in it. I clicked on the box. I typed 2 words. Family first. I logged out. I closed my laptop. The room was silent. My heart was steady. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel happy. I felt quiet. I had not stolen. I had not cheated. I had used the keys they gave me to protect the money they were trying to give away. I had just enforced responsibility. The one thing they hated me for. I went to bed. I fell asleep instantly. A month passed. A whole month of silence. I went to work. I analyzed portfolios. I advised my clients. I paid my bills. I bought groceries. I went to the gym. My life continued. Normal. Quiet. The silence from their end was loud. It meant they hadn't noticed. They were so comfortable, so secure in their new plan, that they didn't even check their accounts. They assumed the machine was working. They assumed I was beaten. Then on a Tuesday, my phone buzzed. I was in a meeting. I glanced at the screen. It was a text. From Mom. My heart didn't stop. It didn't even speed up. I just looked at it. Mom. Scarlett. The mortgage payment for the house bounced. The bank called. Did you forget to transfer your share? I stared at the text. My share? They had erased me from the house. They had taken my name off the deed. And now they were asking me for my share of the payment. The level of delusion. It was stunning. I waited until my meeting was over. I went to the break room. I got a cup of coffee. I typed a reply. Me, not my house. Not my mortgage. I hit send. I watched the screen. The pub bubbles popped up immediately. She was typing. Then they stopped. She was angry. She was probably confused. An hour later, my phone rang. Liam. I let it ring. He didn't leave a voicemail. He called back. Immediately. I let it ring again. He called a third time. I sighed. I answered. I put it on speaker. Hello, Liam. What did you do? He was screaming. I had to pull the phone away from my ear. I don't know what you're talking about, Liam, I said. My voice was calm. My car. The bank. They're saying I missed my payment. My credit card was declined. At lunch. It was declined, Scarlett. What did you do? I don't manage your finances, Liam, I said. You're a grown man. You should probably call the bank. The bank, he sputtered. I called the bank. They said the account is under administrative review. They said all automatic payments were suspended. It was you! You did this! That sounds stressful, I said. You should talk to Mom and Dad about it. It's their money, right? You. He was breathing hard. You think you're so smart. You think you're better than us? No, Liam, I said. I just pay my own bills. I hung up. My phone started buzzing again. Mom. I silenced it. It went to voicemail. A minute later, a new voicemail notification. I listened. Scarlett Ann. This is not funny. You call me back right now. Liam is hysterical. The bank won't tell us anything. They say the account is frozen. Your father is very, very upset. You have to fix this. Whatever you did, you fix it. This is family money. I deleted the voicemail. I went back to my desk. I looked at the spreadsheet on my screen. I had a client's retirement to plan. I focused on my work. My phone was a brick on my desk. It buzzed. It lit up. Liam, Mom, unknown number. Probably Mr. Harrison, the lawyer. Liam.mom. It went on for an hour. A frantic, desperate buzzing. I didn't answer. I just let it happen. I got an email. A new one. Not from them. It was a formal notification from the bank. Dear Ms. Hale, as a registered user on account, we are notifying you that an internal audit has been initiated due to irregular activity and user-reported flags. The account is frozen pending this review, which may take 30-60 business days. The administrative review I had requested. I had just triggered a full-blown audit. They couldn't touch the money. Not to move it. Not to spend it. Not to pay Liam's mortgage. Gravity. They had built this house of cards. They had leveraged everything to keep Liam comfortable. I hadn't pushed it over. I hadn't set it on fire. I had just stopped holding it up. I stopped the flow of money that was keeping it all balanced. And now, it was falling. A new text from Liam came in. Liam, the bank is calling about the house. They're talking about default. Mom is crying. You did this. You are destroying this family. I looked at the text. I didn't smile. Not yet. I was letting gravity do the work. I put my phone in my desk drawer. I went back to my spreadsheet. The bank's email about the audit was one kind of ending. But I wasn't prepared for the letter that came 2 days later. It was from Mr. Harrison, the lawyer. My hands were steady when I picked it up. The envelope was thick, cream-colored, expensive. It felt heavy. I thought it was a lawsuit. I thought, this is it. They are trying to sue me. I sat at my small kitchen table. I opened it with a knife, a clean, neat slice. It wasn't a lawsuit. It was a cover letter. And a document. The letter was stiff, formal. Dear Ms. Hale, in the process of cooperating with the bank's audit of the Hale Family Trust, I was required to review all of your father's personal files, which were kept in my office. In that review, I discovered an additional document. I am legally obligated to inform you of its existence. It is an unsigned draft of a will, dated 1 year prior to the creation of the final trust. I have attached a copy for your records. Please note, as it is unsigned, it has no legal standing. It is merely a document. I put the cover letter down. Why would he send me this? No legal standing, it was a warning. It meant, you can't do anything with this. I looked at the second part. It was a scanned copy. It was a standard will. Simple. I read the main clause. All my assets, real and personal, are to be divided equally in a 50-50 split between my son, Liam Hale, and my daughter, Scarlett Hale. I read it again, 50-50, 1 year ago. My father had wanted to split everything equally. So what changed? I knew what changed. Mom, Liam, the pressure, the crying, the he needs it, she doesn't. I turned the page. There was something else. It was a copy of a yellow legal pad. My dad's handwriting. I knew it instantly. Big, messy, all caps. I recognized it from the notes he used to leave me on the kitchen counter. Gone to work. Feed the dog. Dad. This note was longer. It was attached to the draft will. It was a note to the lawyer, a note he must have written before he lost his nerve. The note said, I want this. This is the fair way. Liam is a mess, I know it. Sarah just wants to protect him, but she is crippling him. Scarlett? She's the responsible one. She's the smart one. She'll know what to do. If it's split, she will know how to manage it. She'll know what to do. I dropped the paper. It fluttered to the floor. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt a new kind of pain. A deep, cold, heavy pain. It was worse than the lawyer's office. The betrayal I felt in that conference room was clean. It was an attack. Mom was the general. Liam was her soldier. They saw me as the enemy. It was simple. This was worse. My father hadn't betrayed me. He hadn't hated me. He hadn't thought I was worthless. He knew. He knew Liam was a mess. He knew Mom was crippling him. He knew I was the responsible one. He saw everything perfectly clearly. He just did nothing. He was too tired to fight her. He was too weak to stand up for me. He saw the truth. He wrote it down. And then he signed the other paper anyway. He let my mother walk all over him. He let her erase me. His love for me was real. But his fear of her was stronger. That truth hurt more than the exclusion. The anger I felt at Mom was hot. This was grief. This was the death of the father I thought I had. The strong man who taught me to check my car's oil. The man who told me, don't ever let anyone push you around, Scarlett. He had let them push him around. And he had let them push me out the door. I thought about his note. She's the responsible one. That's what I was. My whole life. I was the one who was responsible. I was the one who had to be the adult. My mom was an emotional child. My brother was a financial child. And my father was a coward. He was a ghost long before he died. I sat there in my kitchen. The sun was going down. The room was getting dark. I didn't turn on the light. She'll know what to do. He had trusted me. He had leaned on me. Even in his will, his plan was me. He wanted to split it just so I could manage the fallout. So I could manage Liam. Even in his fair will, I was still the fixer. I was still the one responsible for cleaning up the mess. I picked up the paper. I folded it. I didn't cry. I was too cold. This wasn't a secret message. This wasn't permission. It was just sad. It was the last pathetic sigh of a man who had given up. I realized in that moment what I had to do. My father was right. I did know what to do, but it wasn't what he thought. I wasn't going to manage the mess. I was going to expose it. The next night, I couldn't sleep. The house. The draft will. My father's weak handwriting. I kept thinking about the house I grew up in. The one my name was on, and then wasn't. The house Liam was supposed to inherit. The house his mortgage payment was for. I got in my car. I don't know why. It was 10 o'clock at night. I just drove. I drove for an hour. Out of Portland. Back to my old town. Back to the suburbs. I turned onto my old street. It was quiet. Dark. I pulled up across the street from my parents' house. My house. I turned off my headlights. I just stared. The outline said it all. The lawn was overgrown. It was nearly a foot tall. The porch light was dead. The windows were dark. There was a pile of yellowing newspapers on the front step. It didn't look like a home. It looked like a warning. I remembered how Mom used to be obsessed with that lawn. She paid a service. It had to be perfect. The flowers? She had prize-winning roses. They were dead now. Just brown sticks in the dirt. The house didn't look like betrayal. It looked like consequence. This is what happens when the money stops. This is what happens when the fixer leaves. The whole family first motto. It was this house, a beautiful, perfect-looking thing on the outside. But inside, it was rotting. I sat there in the dark. I thought about my father's note. She'll know what to do. I picked up my phone. The first time, I had just canceled the payments. I had put up a flag. I had paused the system. That had triggered the bank's automatic internal review. This was different. I was no longer a user protecting an account. I was a victim. I called the 24-hour fraud hotline for the bank. A voice answered. Security and fraud. How can I help you? My name is Scarlett Hale, I said. My voice was low, clear. I am a party to the Hale Family Trust. Account number. I gave her the number. I need to report suspicious activity. I am reporting irregular transfers. And I am reporting forgery. There was a pause. The woman's voice changed. It became very serious. Ma'am, can you please explain? I have reason to believe that funds have been mismanaged for years, I said. I believe that my brother, Liam Hale, has been receiving funds disguised as estate loans. I believe my mother, Sarah Hale, has been signing for things she does not have the authority to sign for. I have documents. I thought of the draft will. I have documents that show my father's original intent, and I believe his signature may have been forged on the trust documents. I didn't know if it was true, but the audit would find out. I was giving them the keys. I was telling them where to look. Thank you, Ms. Hale. We have an existing review on this account. Your report will escalate this to a full forensic investigation. A case manager will be assigned. The accounts will be locked. Completely. I understand, I said. This may involve law enforcement, she said. I understand, I said again. I hung up. I looked at the dark house. Family first. I drove home. The next week was silent. I went to work. I paid my bills. Then I got a call. A private number. It was a man from the bank. A vice president. Ms. Hale, we have completed our investigation. His voice was cold. Business. I am calling to inform you of our findings. We have found significant irregularities. He didn't need me to talk. He just listed them. First, we have uncovered years of misuse. You were correct. Large six-figure transfers to Mr. Liam Hale, disguised as estate loans. None of them have supporting documents. Second, we found those funds were directly used for non-estate items, luxury vehicles, down payments on failed businesses, credit card debt. Third, and this is the most serious, we found the forgery. You were right. My stomach tightened. The signatures used to authorize the new trust. The one that made Mr. Liam Hale the sole beneficiary. The signature for your father, Frank Hale, does not match our records. What? I whispered. We have strong evidence that your mother, Sarah Hale, forged your father's signature on the final trust documents. The ones that wrote you out. I had to sit down. She didn't just convince him. She didn't just bully him. He didn't sign it at all. His last act of weakness wasn't signing the paper. It was knowing she forged it and letting it happen. The draft will, that was his real will. The lawyer's voice echoed in my head. Frank and Sarah signed the new deed transfer this morning. He must have been there. He must have just sat there, silent. Ms. Hale, the banker said, as of this morning, every account is frozen. The trust is invalid. The house is being seized by the bank to cover the defaulted loans. This is now a criminal matter. I hung up the phone. The betrayal was complete. It was deeper and darker than I ever could have imagined. She had stolen my inheritance. She had stolen my father's name. I went to my bedroom. I lay down on my bed. It was 7 o'clock at night. By morning, every account was frozen. The house was gone. By night, I finally slept. I slept for 10 hours. It was the first real sleep I'd had in my entire adult life. The war was over. I hadn't won. I had just survived. A week passed. A week of absolute blessed silence. I knew the storm was raging, but it was raging somewhere else. It wasn't in my apartment. It wasn't in my office. It wasn't in my life. The bank had called. The lawyer had called. I had told them what I knew. I had forwarded them the draft will and my father's note. I was a witness. I was not a participant. Then, on a Sunday, my phone rang. Liam. I had blocked his number, but he was calling from a new number. I looked at it. I knew it was him. I thought about letting it ring, but I knew I had to answer. This was the end. This was the last piece. I picked up the phone. I said nothing. Hello? He said. His voice was small. Not screaming. Not yet. I just waited. Scarlett? He said, I know you're there. Pick up, I was silent, and then it came. The anger. You did this, he whispered. It was a hiss. You did this, didn't you? I held the phone to my ear. I listened to the air in the room. Did I do this? I thought. Did I forge my father's name? Did I take out secret loans? Did I spend money I didn't have? Did I build a life on lies? No, I thought. I didn't. He took my silence as an answer. You bitch, he spat. You ruined us. The bank took the house. They took my house. Not your house, I thought. You never paid for it, Mom. Mom is a mess. The police. They were here. They were asking her questions. He was crying now, sobbing, the way he did when he was 12 and broke the lamp. Big, fake, angry tears. Tears that meant I'm in trouble and it's not my fault. Why would you do this to us? He choked. Why? We're your family. My silence was a wall. He was throwing himself against it, and it wasn't moving. I just listened. I listened to him panic. I listened to him realize that the money was gone. The car was gone. The house was gone. The safety net. I was gone. He had no one left to blame. Except me. He waited for me to argue. He waited for me to yell. He waited for me to say, you're lying. Or you did it to yourselves. I gave him nothing. My silence was a mirror. He was just screaming at his own reflection. Say something, he yelled. Say something, you cold. You think you're better than us? Don't you? His voice was pathetic. The last desperate insult of a failed bully. You think sitting up there in your apartment, with your job, you think you're better? I thought about it. Better? No, better was their game. The golden child and the ghost daughter. That was Mom's game. A game where he was always the winner, and I was always the loser. I wasn't playing that game anymore. I took a slow breath. No, Liam, I said. My voice was soft, quiet, not angry, just finished. I don't think I'm better than you. He paused. He was confused. I'm just different, I said. Then I hung up. I pressed the end call button. I heard the little click. The silence in my apartment was clean. I took his new number and I blocked it. It was done. The collapse was not loud. It was not a building falling. It was like a slow leak. A quiet ruin. I watched it all from a distance. I didn't have to look for it. The information just found me. I was on my computer one night, checking the market. I had a small habit. I would check Zillow. I would look at houses I couldn't afford. I typed in my old address. There it was. For sale. Bank owned. The price was low. Shockingly low. Must sell fast. The pictures were a nightmare. The lawn was dead. The front door was boarded up, the pictures of the inside. They were empty. The bank had taken everything, but you could see the shadows. The faint squares on the wall where our family pictures used to hang. The dark stained circles on the dining room carpet where the table had been. It was a ghost house. The shell of a family that had eaten itself. I looked at it for a long time. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel sad. I just felt an ending. It was the physical end of my childhood. That house, which Mom had polished and protected, it was just a failed asset now. A few weeks later, an email came. It was from a girl I went to high school with. We weren't friends, just acquaintances. Hey, Scarlett, it read. Weird question, but is your brother okay? I saw his car listed on Craigslist. Looked really desperate. He was selling it for parts. Just wanted to make sure everything is all right. I didn't reply. The luxury car. The car they paid for. Sold for parts. Gravity. Then the holidays came. Christmas. I was expecting something. A desperate call. A hateful letter? I got nothing. But I did get an email. It was a group email from a distant aunt. One of those happy holidays from the Miller family. Newsletters. I scrolled through the pictures of her kids. And then, at the bottom, a paragraph. P.S. Please keep my sister Sarah in your thoughts. She has had a very difficult year, as I'm sure you know. She has moved into a small rental, an apartment over by the highway. It's been a hard transition. Please send her your prayers. A small rental. By the highway, I pictured it. The sound of trucks. The small rooms. The dirty beige carpet. I pictured my mother, the woman who had prize-winning roses and a perfect dining room. Living by the highway. This was the hardest part. It was my mother. I sat there holding my cup of tea. I asked myself, do you feel guilty? No, I had not forged a signature. I had not built a life of lies. I had not stolen from my own child. I felt sad. But it was a distant sadness. It was sadness for the woman who had destroyed her own life. The woman who had a choice. A choice between her responsible daughter and her failing son. And she chose the son. She chose him so hard she had destroyed all three of them. The family friends. They vanished. No one called me to yell at me. No one called me to blame me. They just disappeared. They were their friends. They were friends with the facade. They were friends with the money. The moment the money was gone, the moment the facade cracked, so were they. There were no statements. There was no shouting. There was just quiet ruin. I spent Christmas Day in my apartment. I ordered Thai food. I watched a movie. My phone was silent. I realized I was happy. Truly. People always talk about forgiveness. They say, you have to forgive them to find peace. I learned that isn't true. I don't forgive them. I don't forgive my mother for her cruelty. I don't forgive my father for his weakness. I don't forgive my brother for his greed. Forgiveness is not for me. Forgiveness is for them. It's a gift. It says, what you did is okay, and it was not okay. Peace doesn't always come from forgiveness. Sometimes peace comes from distance. Peace comes from boundaries. Peace comes from a locked door and a blocked number. I had found my peace. I never received a cent. When the bank seized the house and the assets, it all went to cover the debts. The secret loans. The forged checks. The years of Liam's failures. When the dust settled, there was nothing left. Just zero. And I don't need it. That's what they never understood. That was my crime. My crime was that I didn't need them. I had my job. I had my savings. I had my small, clean apartment. The life I built. The one they called cold. That was the one thing they couldn't take from me. It was the one thing that saved me. I didn't get the house. I didn't get the money. I inherited something better. I inherited the freedom to live without them. I inherited the silence. The freedom from the 10 p.m. phone call. Scarlett, Liam's in trouble again. The freedom from the holiday dinners sitting at a table. Being told I'm too responsible while Liam is praised for breathing. The freedom from being the fixer. The freedom from being the ghost. I think about that text from my mother. The one that started it all. Mortgage is due. Did you get your share? And my reply? Not mine. When I sent that, I wasn't just talking about the house. What I really meant was, not my burden. It was not my burden to carry Liam. It was never my burden. I was not born to be his safety net. I was not born to be the responsible one, so he could be the fun one. That was a role Mom gave me. I am giving it back. Not mine. What I really meant was, not my guilt. For 30 years, they made me feel guilty. Guilty for succeeding. Guilty for leaving. Guilty for not failing. That guilt was a chain they used to pull me back to make me pay for their mistakes. But the guilt was theirs. My mother's guilt for failing her son. My father's guilt for failing me. I am not carrying it for them anymore. Not mine, and what I really meant was, not my problem, his debts. Her lies. The foreclosure. The repossessed car. The police. The tears. The screaming, I am not the fixer. I am not customer service. It is, finally, their own problem. I sit in my apartment. It is morning. I am drinking my coffee. I am reading a book. My phone is silent. This peace. This is my inheritance. Money can be stolen. Houses can be sold. Trusts can be broken by a forged signature. But this quiet, this peace, the kind you build for yourself, brick by brick, with your own two hands. That can't be stolen. It can't be signed over. My father's note was right about one thing. She's the responsible one. She'll know what to do. He just didn't know what he was right about. I was responsible. I was responsible for me, and what I knew how to do was to let go. That's the only inheritance I'll ever need.